Hello everybody, I am Fuzzyface. Welcome back to this Motorsport Manager career. We're back today with round 5, the South African Grand Prix here in Cape Town. It looks like it's going to be a rainy race. Qualifying, it is cloudy, so there is a chance of rain there as well. But the race does look like we're going to be on the intermediates for some, if not a lot, of the race. As for this season, we've had a really good start to the season. Esteban Ocon is currently leading the Drivers' Championship. Lando Norris is 4th at the moment. We've had some really good races. We've won a couple with Esteban Ocon. If we move up here, Ocon has won the Sydney Grand Prix and the Beijing Grand Prix. He's off to an amazing start. Norris has been on the podium for the last 2 races in 3rd place. He's been absolutely amazing himself, has given us this really good start. Some of that is down to luck, some of that is down to strategy, some of that is down to the Mercedes and the Ferrari having reliability problems. Red Bull struggling as well, as we can see. Verline is all the way down in 6th. He's been pretty decent considering he's only a 3.5-star driver. Danny Rick though has been having reliability problems. He's crashed out in one of the races. As for the Mercedes, who were propped up by Lewis Hamilton, Hamilton's been there or thereabouts. He's had some reliability problems, so if he hadn't have had those, he would have been by far and away, possibly would have won all 4 races, I would have guessed. Vettel is sort of hanging on at the moment. He crashed out, I think the first race he crashed out, and he's had reliability problems since then. And he's sort of propping up that Ferrari team as a second driver is Alex Lynn, who in this game is only a 3.5-star rated driver. He doesn't have the race to start like either of our drivers. As for Mercedes, Hamilton does have that race to start, but Magnussen, who's a 4-star rated driver, doesn't have that race to start either. So whilst in qualifying he's really fast, once we actually get to the race, Esteban Ocon is about a 0.5-star rated driver over and above what Kevin Magnussen. Esteban Ocon pretty much becomes a 4.5 rated driver, if not more, during the race, because he does get +2 to all of his stats with that racer bonus, as does Lando Norris. He jumps up from a 3.5 to a 4-star rated driver. As we can see, the driver lineup is not rated too great at the moment, but I'm pretty happy with what we've got. We've got Norris to bring along, we've got Ocon to bring along. They both do have that race to start, which possibly, once we do get to the race, puts us above average, which does mean we're usually pretty off form in qualifying at the moment, but we do manage to pick up that during the race and have some really strong races. As it is with the car at the moment, we're building this new engine. Hopefully this one, once we get it fully upgraded in the garage, we get the performance up to scratch, we're going to be back to where we were engine wise. We're going to jump above the Ferrari and the Mercedes once again, back to the top of the order as we were with the engine towards last season. And at the start of this season, I think we were for a brief period of time. We've got the best rear wing in the game. So yeah, we just actually need to change the pit crew quickly here, because a lot of these guys are ready to make mistakes here. We'll just swap out a few guys before we move on to the race weekend, so everyone does have the potential to make a mistake. Luckily, across every single bit here, we've got other guys that we can bring in who are rated a 20. So no matter what sort of order we put these in, we've always got a really strong pit crew, no matter what we're doing. We're not going to change the guys that are fixing the parts. I think everything's reliable enough that we don't have to think about any of that. We'll just go with Infinity here. We only get 50,000 for finishing 6 or above in qualifying and the race. Both guys are still happy with their cars, so we're going to jump into this race. Possibly not a strong one, because these are our best rated parts, but we've got a better overall car this season than last season. Last season we qualified 6th here and 12th, Ocon 6th, Sergey 12th. They both finished in that place as well, so hopefully we're going to be a little bit better than that. It's quite a long race, 49 laps, because the track is pretty short, but we're going to get in, we're going to skip over practice, and we'll be back for the 3rd qualifying session in just a moment. So here we go with the first qualifying lap of Q3. Norris, unfortunately, we have already lost him in qualifying. He finished 12th in Q2, not enough to get through to Q3. It has been raining throughout qualifying. It was raining for pretty much all of practice. Ocon had to use 2 Ultras to get through into Q3, which means he's out on a pair of used Ultra Softs at the moment. But on this pair of used Ultra Softs, he actually went quicker than Vettel for the first sector here. So this pair of used Ultra Softs looking pretty quick around this track for some reason. Ocon 3rd, he only just scraped through into Q3 by going 10th fastest in Q2. He's looking a little bit quicker here especially since he's on this used ultra soft as well. So we'll just see where everyone is after the first round of qualifying. Ocon currently 4th on a used pair of ultra softs, so he's going to get a fresh pair to do his second lap on here, so hopefully he's going to improve there. Leclerc managed to scrape through into Q3 as well somehow. Meanwhile, Vettel quickest, Bottas second at the moment, and Hamilton is currently 3rd. So here we go with the grid for the 2020 South African Grand Prix in Cape Town. We didn't do another qualifying run. Rain hit the Q3 session right at the end, meaning there was no point in even sending the car back out again, which means we have retained 4th place. On the front row of the grid though, the McLaren of Valtteri Bottas, something he couldn't really achieve whilst he was in the Mercedes or the Ferrari over the last 2 seasons. He has got on the front row of the grid, only, look at that, 5/100ths of a second behind the post to Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari. Hamilton is 3rd. We know Ocon is 4th. Rain is going to hit this Grand Prix from lap 12, which means everyone in the top 10 who's on this ultra soft is going to have to pit once before the rain, whereas everyone from place 11 backwards is going to be at a run until the rain, which is going to put them in a strong position. On the 3rd row of the grid, we've got K-Mag in 5th place in the Mercedes, Alex Lynn 6th in the 2nd Ferrari, Hulkenberg in the Renault 7th, Verline 8th in the Red Bull, Charles Leclerc 9th in the Sauber, and Robin Grosjean 10th in that Haas car. Outside the top 10, we've got Danny Rick, who's got cracked ribs at the moment, still down on form as well. He finds himself 11th place in that Red Bull. Lando Norris on form but couldn't do anything in qualifying. He's outside the top 10, 12th, but that is good for him, although Danny Rick's on that ultra soft. We've got a lot of cars on the ultra soft here, and these ultras are possibly not going to last until the rain, so Norris is in a really good position here because this soft tyre, we've got a lot of room to push on that. It can do 19 laps. The rain's going to hit around about lap 12, 13, so if we can keep pushing on that tyre. Have we got everyone else on ultras here? And as we see with Perez again in this Force India, used ultras here. But Perez 15th, Rosenquist 16th, Carlos Sainz 17th, Gasly 18th, Marcus Ericsson 19th, and as usual the back row of the grid is Ericsson and Billy Johnson in that Toro Rosso, 2.7 seconds behind the leaders. So everyone else seemingly, only Gasly can sort of make the rain here, lap 13, where it's going to switch to inters for a few laps, maybe 8 or so laps, and then we're going to have a little period maybe where there's enough time to get onto the wet tyre. But the lights are here and the lights are out, and here we go with the 2020 Cape Town Grand Prix. Ocon makes a decent start here. We're not even going to entertain looking after these tyres. We might as well just push them because we do have to make this pit stop whatever happens here. We don't have any more ultra, or we do have a pair of ultra softs left because we didn't do that last run, so we can do another ultra soft here. So we can go ultra until the rain comes, and then we can get onto a super soft or a soft right at the end of the race. But look at that, Charles Leclerc, an absolutely storming start in that Sauber, finds himself in 1st place. We can get pushing on this tyre as well for Norris. But look at that, absolutely amazing from Charles Leclerc. Obviously he's not going to be able to sit around here too long. That Sauber is, I think it's still rated the worst car at the moment, but we've got Alex Lynn fighting with Esteban Ocon here. Alex Lynn makes that move in that Ferrari. Norris has had an absolute storming start himself there, goes quickest in the 3rd sector over that 1st lap. 4th place as Lynn moves back down. Ocon managing to get past Leclerc here, it looks like as well. Leclerc is going to fall. Leclerc does. Is he going to fall to Norris as well? Norris goes up the inside. Norris makes that stick. So Norris is in an amazing position here. The weather's quite cool, so even though we push this tyre pretty much all out, it's not going to overheat too quickly, so we can just keep pushing here for the moment. But Norris gets in front of Leclerc. Leclerc is going to hold up Alex Lynn here, hopefully for a few laps as well. He's got both Mercedes behind him. Hamilton's had a disastrous start. Magnussen is all the way back here as well. So we are suddenly in prime position for this Grand Prix. So we're just going to push Ocon all out here. Keep him as close to Vettel as we can. We know we've got to make a pit stop before the rain comes, so we might as well get off this tyre as quick as we can. It looks like the rain's going to last until the end of the race as well, because it looked like it was going down from lap 37, but as we can see it just starts creeping back up again from lap 37. It's going to creep back up. We're just going to keep Ocon going here. We'll just keep the fuel load as it is. Yeah, there's no point pushing the fuel. Alex Lynn meanwhile has managed to get past Charles Leclerc, as has Kevin Magnussen. Hamilton is still behind Charles at the moment, and we've got Bottas, who's really good qualifying session of 2nd place, has been negated here over the first 4 laps. He finds himself all the way down in 10th place. Ocon, meanwhile, we've still got him pushing. He can possibly just get one more lap out of this ultra soft tyre in the early going here. We can keep Norris going. Should we just turn Norris down a little bit since he's in front of Lynn? We just want him to keep going, keep these tyres, get him to cool down a little bit again, and then get him pushing once again. But Ocon, his tyre's about to go, so he's going to have to definitely pick this lap. This ultra is now rated at doing 11 laps, so we can get in. We've still got a little bit of risk, but that is only for the guys fixing the parts, so nothing should go wrong on the pit stop here, hopefully. These tyres are just about to go. They're overheated, well, just about overheated, and there they go. They are overheated. And here we go. Ocon is going to get into the pits. Hopefully we're going to get out into a place where we've got a little bit of clear air to run in. So we're the first team to make a pit stop, and we've got cars down here. I'm guessing Grosjean's hit someone. He's in a little bit of trouble, and we'll just push for a little bit, and we'll keep the fuel in high mode here. What we want to do is try close this gap up. It looks like a pit stop is about 18 seconds here, so if we can get within 18 seconds of Vettel, we've got a chance of clearing him and going ahead in this race. So let's just cool these tyres back down a tiny little bit for Norris before we have him start pushing again. Ocon, meanwhile, is currently quicker than Sebastian Vettel. The rain is coming. It looks right in the middle of that, doesn't it? So we don't have too much room to push on this ultra soft, but what we're trying to do is get the undercut going on Vettel. But obviously we're going to start hitting traffic pretty soon, so we'll switch back to medium very ever so slightly for a short time here until we catch the back of this pack, and then once we catch the back of the pack, we're going to have to use full on attack and overtake mode to get past these cars. Norris, meanwhile, he's got a gap at the moment. Lynn has fallen back. Hamilton's falling back. He's going to have to make his pit stop pretty soon. We're just holding on for Norris here. He's going a long way until the rain comes, so he's sort of got that free pit stop. Ocon, meanwhile, is moving past this group of cars. He's just got Marcus Ericsson in front of him to clear. If we can do that, and then we can turn Ocon back down until we catch Ricciardo in front, although Ricciardo's just about to dive into the pit. So Ocon's in a pretty good position here, 18 seconds behind Vettel at the moment. Should we just push this extra little bit here, clear Ricciardo, who's slowing down as Ricciardo's tyre's gone, and Vettel is in the pits here. Vettel is in the pits. Can we clear Vettel? Are we going to get him? We are. We've got in front of Vettel, so let's get turned back down here. We can still run in high mode for a little bit. There's still a long way to go in this Grand Prix, and Norris is out in front and clear here by 8 seconds over Verstappen, who's going to pit soon. Gasly might be at a stretch until the rain, but Norris is in a really good position here. We can get him pushing pretty soon. Well, we can get him pushing now. This tyre can go all the way down to 0%, so we might as well just get him pushing. See if he can open up a little bit more of a gap here. Ocon is just about to clear Gasly. We get past Gasly. That's going to hold up Vettel for a little bit. Vettel is obviously going to be pushing all out at the moment to try and get back at Ocon, but we suddenly find ourselves in an amazing position for the rest of this race. Second and first. Norris, him qualifying outside the top 10 has sort of worked out for him here. As we start seeing, we've got Hulkenberg who's come in for a used ultra soft, and Grosjean as well, but obviously that tyre doesn't have to go a long way, and it looks like the rain is going to get fully wet again for the end of the Grand Prix. Ocon, meanwhile, we just want him to hold off at the moment. Have we got room to push for a few laps? It doesn't look like it. We just want to hold on to this tyre at the moment, so should we cool it down for a tiny little bit? We'll see if Vettel starts to come back. He's only in neutral and medium at the moment himself. Norris, meanwhile, has opened up the gap to 12 seconds. What's he doing at the moment? 1:05, so he's even on the soft tyre, he's keeping pace with the guys on the almost fresh ultras here. So we're just waiting for this rain to come. It looks like it's going to be about lap 14, so there's possibly just going to be a couple of more laps left here. 38 laps gone, so if there's another 2 laps here, we just need to watch this tyre of Norris that it doesn't actually start fading away. We don't have too much room to push with Ocon, but we're just going to get him back up into neutral here now. It looks like Vettel is not able to close his gap. He's still at over 2 seconds. He's possibly a little bit quicker than us, but that is because we were turned down, so we should be able to hold off this gap now until we need to make this pit stop for the intermediate tyre. Obviously, around lap 14, it doesn't look like the tyre, the intermediates, is going to work because it's going to take a little bit of a time for the rain to take effect. It's only going to start off as light rain, So we just got to make sure we can hold on to this tyre. Obviously we pitted Ocon really early to get the undercut on Vettel. It has worked out for him here, but if he can get, we'll try and get him in overtake mode. We know we've got to pit a quicker pit stop than the Ferraris as well. So even if Vettel does get somewhere near to us, we should be coming out at the pits maybe about a half a second in front of where we went in front of him. Obviously that does mean that we need to have a good pit stop for that to happen, but just the rain should be coming at any point now, so we're going to have to look after these tyres, because once the Ultras get below 20%, they just fall off a cliff to the Ultras. So we need to make sure we can hold on to this. We might need to get... Yes, we know these tyres are going Lando, but you can hold on to these until the rain comes easily. 32% for Ocon. Haven't got the same for Ocon. We've got cars pitting for the Inters already. Vettel is going to stretch out though, so should we stretch Ocon out this extra lap, because he's going to lose too much time if he comes in this lap. We'll just run him in backup mode here. He's still in overtake mode, which is alright because there's a lot of time to recover this fuel. But obviously pushing in overtake mode to stay in front of Vettel is costing a lot, so we'll just get him down to high mode here. Norris is easily going to be able to go until the rain comes, so he's in a really good position here. He's still 8 seconds in front, even though he's running a little bit slow at the moment. So we've got rain start to come now. It's still a little bit early for Ocon, but he can't really go another lap here, so he's going to have to get in for this Inter, which can run 16 laps. So it's going to be pretty touch and go. So we're possibly going to need that. But even getting in for the wets and then getting back in, we might still have enough room to get onto another Inter to finish the race on. So we're going to have to look after this first set of intermediate tyres just to make sure and see what the other guys are doing, the other teams are doing. And Vettel's followed us into the pits. The track is not really suitable for this Inter at the moment. The dry compound would have done alright at the moment. It looked like Vettel had a pretty quick pit stop there as well. So he's Vettel coming out of the pits pushing, so we're going to have to do the same here. We're just going to have to follow what Vettel does to stay in front of him. But Norris, meanwhile, he's trying to do this extra lap at the moment. This soft tyre can go all the way. He was a little bit too close to the pits when the rain came, so he's gone this extra lap. He should still have this lead at the moment. He's 26 seconds ahead. We're going to get him pushing. Norris is into the pits here. Luckily, we didn't actually miss the pit stop, so Norris is back out. How far is he in front? 7 seconds, so he didn't actually lose too much time. He's managed to get that extra lap on the intermediate here. We're going to turn back down Ocon as well. We don't want to waste these tyres. Vettel is still pushing here, so I'm guessing everyone's going to go for the wet tyre. Well, yeah, it's going to last about 6 to 7 laps is the point where the wet tyres come into effect. Around about lap 24, so we only really need to do another 7 laps on this tyre so we can get pushing here as well. We need to recover some fuel, so we might as well just see what we need to do on this wet tyre, on this intermediate tyre. And then once the wet tyre goes, we can get on the Inter. That's going to finish the race. It's going to get wet again, really wet again, right at the end of the race. But possibly not enough laps that we would need to worry about making another pit stop for the wet tyres. And meanwhile, Vettel is falling behind here. He's 3.5 seconds down the road. Has he turned these tyres down? He has. And yeah, we've just got both cars running way out in front here. So it's... unless someone can make something happen, whether these Ferrari and the Mercedes are going to pick up their speed for some reason. They're not really quick here, but I'm guessing that's just because we're pushing the tyre. I don't know why they're not pushing. Whether they're not going to make this extra pit stop for the wet tyre, although the wet tyre is going to save you a lot of time because the track is going to be really wet for maybe 6 or 7 laps. So we're just waiting until that point when the wet weather really does start to hit this track. We're back on lap 22. A lot of teams are starting to get off this intermediate tyre pretty early, maybe a lap too early for them, but we're going to start diving into the pits maybe this time around. Could we go another lap here? The wet tyre does take proper effect from around 50%. Should we get on it early? So we're going to take the benefit of it right at the crossover point. So we'll get in to follow the wet tyre here. We're a lap later than a few others, but I'm guessing that lap early was a little bit too early. This is possibly the best lap to get on for the wet tyre. Vettel himself hasn't come onto the intermediate yet, so hopefully we're going to have decent pit stops here and be able to stay out in front. So Norris pits some people in the laps some people in the pits, but gets out just behind them. Ocon meanwhile is starting to second. We've got Vettel who's coming for the wet tyre as well. So this wet tyre, which can do 15 laps, only needs to go for maybe 7 or so laps, so we can just keep pushing with this tyre as well and stay out in front. We've got 6 seconds to Vettel behind. Norris meanwhile is lapping people at the moment. Norris on an absolute tear here. Just a not really the best strategy calls from some of these. I don't know why we've got cars here. Why is Hamilton out on fresh wets and he's just got the tyre in low mode? Why? This wet tyre doesn't have to go any distance at all. I hope the tyre situation is something that gets fixed if they ever do a Motorsport Manager 2 for the PC. Hopefully that's something they're working on at the moment. If they can get the pit stops and the strategies fixed for the AI, it would be a lot better. As it is, we can just keep pushing this tyre as well. We're eking out this little gap. How we know we're still about 6 seconds in front of Vettel. We're still in prime position to win this race at the moment. And it's just whether we need to go back onto another wet tyre at the end of the race. If we can open up enough of a distance and we can get sort of comfortable, if we see Vettel or Hamilton obviously come in for a wet at the end of the race, then we can just sort of respond to that later on in the Grand Prix. As it is, we're just pushing here, out in first and second, waiting for the rain to stop until we can get back onto the intermediate, but it's going to start getting really heavy here. So we're just going to turn down here just to make sure. Sometimes if you push too much whilst the rain's out, you can end up crashing. So whilst the rain gets to its heaviest point here, we're just going to run in neutral and medium just to make sure we don't have any accidents here. It should cool the tyres back down. So once the rain does start to subside a bit, we can get pushing all out once again and see if we can open up a little bit more of a gap. Vettel is starting to close at the moment. What's he doing? He's got his fuel in high mode, so we're going to respond to that. We're not going to do anything with the tyres, but once we sort of see that we're running the same sort of strategy that we run back in neutral and medium as alongside the Ferrari, they do close that gap up pretty rapidly. That is how good their car is at the moment. Look at that, 1.4 seconds quicker when we run the car at the same level. So I'm just hoping that this rain is going to go. I don't really want to push the cars too much in the rain, but it might be something we have to do to keep Ocon ahead here, because Vettel is still rapidly closing this gap. We get a 108.8 from Norris, a 110.3 from Ocon, and a 108.6, almost 2 seconds quicker for Vettel there. So we're going to go attack mode here. We need to keep this gap at the front, although Norris doesn't really need to risk it. But the rain is about to subside, although we've got another lap of this heavy rain at the moment. If we just keep pushing like this, hopefully we're not going to see either of our cars crash. If we can just get pushing like that, we're going to open up that gap over Vettel again, who starts falling back once again as soon as we start pushing. The AI not really pushing their car at the moment, and we see the rain start to subside now. So we're just going to wait and respond for the inters. We've got Van Dorn really early for this inter. The rain is dropping away pretty rapidly here. So are we seeing anyone else dive in? Should we get our inter out of the way this lap? Is the rain going to stop anymore? The rain has actually stopped altogether here, so this is going to drop pretty rapidly. So we're going to get off this tyre, although we're a little bit too far away from the end of the Grand Prix to do this on at the moment. This can do about 18 laps. Should we try stretch it out just in case we want to run to the end of the race? Although everyone's still pretty early here, so we're going to... I don't know what to do. 16 to 18, it's not going to get to the end of the race, although there is that period at the end of the race where we can get back in for another wet tyre. We don't want Norris to go past the pits here. We're seeing cars get in for the inters. Is Vettel lined up for a pit stop here? Vettel as yet is not lined up for a pit stop. The intermediate is still in the crossover section. The wet tyre, I mean, is still in the crossover section until you get to around half a track of the until it's about half wet on the thing. So we're going to stay out another lap here. We're just going to push this wet tyre all out. Hopefully it's going to work out. So we've got Vettel 16 seconds behind, 3.5 seconds behind. I'm guessing we're going to see Vettel into the pits. We're going to risk this extra lap and hope we can get an inter right to the end of the race by doing this. It's a little bit of a risk, but I'm hoping we can thusly then get to the end of the race on this inter if we look after it enough. And we save ourselves another pit stop, which means if Vettel does start to catch us up, we can stay out in front of him by him having to do another pit stop, because I doubt he's going to be able to get this inter from to the end of the race from where he pitted. So there we go. We've got Norris out of the pits. We've got Ocon out of the pits. He's out in front, and quite a gap to Vettel. Vettel is a little bit further back. than we were before, so it was actually the right strategy call there. So we're not going to push these tyres at the moment. Vettel himself is looking after these tyres as well, so we're going to run in conserve mode whilst he's doing that. Obviously we have a little bit more room to look after the tyres of Norris since he's so far out in front, so we'll run him in backup mode for a little bit. These tyres are going to cool down, but the aim is to get to the end of the race here with Norris. Ocon meanwhile is in front of Charles Leclerc after his amazing qualifying session and getting into the top 10. He finds himself all the way down in 16. Bottas as well, he's down there. The Red Bull of Ricciardo's currently running in 10th place, whereas his teammate Verline's outside here. Gasly though is running pretty high up in that Toro Rosso. Could the Toro Rossos finally score enough points in the race, or in a race, to get themselves off the bottom of the table? They've been bottom for the last 2 seasons and have been lucky that they haven't been relegated, because ART and Dams in the first season both rejected promotion to Formula 1. As it is, Ocon meanwhile is getting a massive gap over Vettel. Vettel's finally turned his tyres back up. Is he going to start clawing back here? I'm guessing we're at a point where we're going to be able to get to the end of the Grand Prix on these tyres, so let's just get the fuel under control for a little bit here. We've got Norris cooled all the way down. These tyres are going to start graining, but it's not really going to matter too much whether the tyres are cold. It might let these cars catch up a little bit, but Norris is 13 seconds out in front. He's managed to save himself a pit stop, as has Pierre Gasly, the only other AI car, or the only AI car that stretched out long enough to go for the rain on without doing a pit stop. And Norris is complaining about getting heat into these tyres, so we'll get him attacking for maybe half a lap here. It shouldn't negate what he's managed to do so far looking after that tyre, so he's got a little bit of heat in there now. We'll get him back into neutral. Ocon meanwhile still second. We've got about 5 seconds now. Vettel's closed that gap up a little bit, but we're about lapping the same at the moment. We're actually a tiny bit quicker, about a 10th quicker than Vettel at the moment. So we've just only got a little bit to hang on here till the end of the race. We've only got 13 laps remaining, and are we going to be able to hold off on this? It can possibly do 13 laps. Is Ocon in a position as well? He's in the position as well to get to the end of the race. But obviously we do have the room to respond if we see Vettel or Hamilton dive into the pits for a wet tyre. Obviously Gasly and Magnussen are far enough back that we've got a free pit stop on them, sort of, if we want to, towards the end of the race. But Norris somehow is getting this gap even further ahead now. So what's Norris doing this lap? 105.1, whereas Ocon is a little bit, well, quite a bit further down the road. He does a 105.2. So Norris, whose tyres are all the way cold, is quicker than Ocon. And Vettel as well is starting to speed up a little bit here. So I'm guessing Vettel has got his tyres back into the optimum temperature. Has he been pushing a little bit? No, his tyres are not that much different to ours. So we're just going to have a lap where we just heat these tyres up again a little bit. And then we'll run back maybe in conserve mode after we've heated the tyres back up for maybe a lap here. Let's just see what sort of... This might just cost the tyre though. We're going to keep pushing for a little bit and then we can run in conserve mode for part of the lap. Hopefully this speeds us up a little bit and just keeps us in a position where we're going to be able to still get to the end of the race. We do a 104.9, a 105.4. Vettel is still in the 104s as well. So he's slowly but surely catching Ocon here. 54% is this tyre. It is 53% for Vettel. Obviously this tyre can get down to 10% before it really starts to lose performance. But we've got problems with the car here. The gear shifts in Ocon's car are a little bit troubling. The gearbox is fading here. The AI seemingly have got over... Oh no, we've got Hamilton. Hamilton has got reliability problems once again. So we've got Vettel, who is currently in a position to upset our strategy. Well, not our strategy, but our hopes of getting a 1-2 in this race. Vettel is currently 2 seconds behind. He is closing as well. Whether we've got the pace in this car to do this, if we did do this later on in the Grand Prix and we needed to do that, it would put us all the way down in 7th, which is not good. But a lot of these cars do have to pit, so it's not a disaster if Ocon has to do it. He's not going to lose too many points, but Vettel is catching him rather rapidly here. I can't really push the fuel with Ocon because the gearbox is in such a state. If we push the fuel, it's going to wear away his gearbox. We can't respond to what Vettel's doing really at the moment. We're just wanting to hold on for at least 5th place, but yeah, we're going to have to push, otherwise Vettel's going to get us and Hamilton's going to get us. We're possibly going to come back out in these places if we do need to pit and fix the gearbox, so we might as well push and respond if we see Vettel. If Vettel does get past us though, we are going to turn down. Hamilton has pitted for full wets, so are we going to see cars get in, everyone, for full wets as well? Vettel's coming in for full wets as well, so we're going to respond with Norris. Norris can respond this lap. He can get off these tyres. He can get into the pits. He's got no problems with his gearbox. Should we have Ocon respond? The track is not wet enough at the moment, so we can get pushing on this intermediate. Vettel is right behind us. Should we even fix the gearbox? I'm not even going to fix the gearbox. We're going to risk it with Ocon. He's going to push this extra lap, and hopefully that is enough to keep him far enough in front of Vettel. I'm hoping that the track is still not wet enough to get on to the wet tyres. And Norris is right behind Ocon here. Is Norris catching, or is Ocon staying in front? It's a good test. They've got equal lap times at the moment, and Norris is just about starting to close that gap. And was that the gearbox going even further? No, it wasn't. It did flash red, but I'm guessing it was just Ocon wanting to get off these tyres. So we're going to get into the pits now with Ocon. We're going to go back to medium mode, and we can just attack on these tyres to the end of the race, and hopefully we've managed to save enough time and stay in front of Vettel. Vettel is coming round. We're out in front of him, a little bit further ahead, so it sort of did pay off a little bit there to stay out. Vettel, meanwhile, he's got the fuel that he can push. We can push with Ocon, maybe, but this gearbox is in danger here. It stayed at 28% for quite a while, but I'm expecting it to drop into the red zone any time about now. We're going to risk it. We want this 1-2 stop here. We want this 1-2 result. If we can just sort of keep that up, and there we go. That is the red zone almost. No, we're still outside the red zone. It's at 25%. The red zone's actually a little bit lower. It's the brakes that have started failing as well now. So the brakes have started failing. Are we going to be able to limp this car home? Vettel's got problems as well, more importantly, for us. So we could hold Vettel off here. Can we hold Vettel off for these last couple of laps? Is the gearbox going to hold up? Are the brakes going to hold up? Can we get to the end of this race somehow? Looks like it might happen, but once it hits the red zone, the parts can fail at any time. We've only got 3 laps to go here. We can just keep pushing the car all out. We can keep pushing these tyres all out. The track is pretty cold, so even running in attack mode, we're not going to overheat these tyres before the end of the race. So it's just whether we can hold Vettel off. We're half a second ahead. We've been holding that over the last couple of laps here. Oh, and Ocon has run wide. Ocon has run wide. He's let Vettel pass. He almost went round that the wrong way. What is seemingly a roundabout, he almost went round it the wrong way. So Ocon now, he's lost his 2nd place by running wide. Vettel has finally been released. Obviously, Ocon did a good enough job of holding him up. That is nowhere near Norris to try catch him. But Ocon, we're going to see Vettel start to shoot into the distance now, I would guess. And it's just about whether we can hold off Hamilton now to keep a double podium on this Cape Town Grand Prix, the equivalent of Monaco in this game, as this game doesn't have the addition of Monaco like the new mobile game does. Are we still seeing Hamilton has actually turned down here. So what is everything like? Everything stayed out of the red zone, even though it got pretty close. So it looks like we're going to be able to keep going for this final lap. We've still got room to push with the fuel, still room to push with the tyres. Vettel is about 1.5 seconds up the road. So Norris is going to hold on for his first ever Formula 1 win in his rookie season. An absolutely amazing job from him. Obviously, he's sort of in the position though where it's 18 seconds. And possibly all of that is to do with him running in clear air for a lot of it. But in 18 seconds, he would have still been ahead of Ocon, because it takes about 18 seconds to get in and out of the pits on this track. He would have been in front of Ocon, obviously. A lot of that is down to do that, and we see Norris come across the line there. Norris celebrating his first ever win, his maiden win in Formula 1. Vettel finishes 2nd. Ocon finishes 3rd, a second behind. Hamilton is 4th. Magnussen is going to come across the line 5th in the 2nd Mercedes. He's closely followed, not too closely, by Alex Lynn. We've got Pierre Gasly, who's up into the points for the Toro Rosso. An amazing result for them. I don't think it's going to be enough to keep them out of the bottom. It might be, but Bottas there in the McLaren, he qualified second, he dropped to 8th here. Verstappen scores more points for the Force India this season, which is a good result for them. And Ricciardo is the only Red Bull in the points with 1 point here. A Red Bull way off form, which is good news for us, in that, as I think Mercedes and Ferrari are going to come back at us once they get their reliability under wraps, which they seem to have done this race, but we just managed to make things work for us with the strategy, the undercut working for Ocon to stay ahead of Vettel for a very long time, the going all the way, well, Norris qualifying outside the top 10, giving him the ability to go long until the rain came, worked out really well for him. So we pick up almost maximum points, but we pick up 40 instead of the maximum 43, which is really good for us. As we head over, there we go, we've got our nice trophy. Norris picks up his first trophy. We've got Ocon on the podium once again. Ocon still leading the championship. Norris currently in third. Somehow, I don't know how we're doing this, because when I've run the test before using AI on difficulty 3, it's still really hard. Even I've done it with a similar team. When I ran this test with Renault, I did the test Renault, I had the 4th best overall car, the 5th best drivers, and we couldn't finish really any higher than 9th or 11th. I'm guessing we're finishing pretty high up this season, because a lot of the races so far this season have been rainy, which the AI sometimes isn't the best, and you can just sort of out strategize the AI in most of the races as well, which is hopefully, as I've said, something they will work on in the second version of the PC game if they do bring it out. But anyway, we'll get past that. Vettel has fallen behind Norris now, and as we move on here, we've now got a 48-point gap, but Mercedes and Ferrari will come back at us really strongly at some point. We're never going to be able to hold on to this as this campaign gets into the business end of the season. Red Bull struggling, 43 points. McLaren having a not too bad season. Sauber excellent at the moment, 15 points, still in front of Force India. You would think Force India would be performing with Max Verstappen in the car, and Toro Rosso, more importantly, have scored more points, or just their first points of the season, and it looks like Haas could be in a lot of trouble here. Carlos Sainz and Roman Grosjean struggling this season. They were pretty decent last season, were the Haas cars. I'm sure they were doing pretty well, so we'll just have a look at them in a second. We came first overall for the weekend. We're still losing this massive chunk of money because we haven't got pay drivers anymore. Meanwhile, in Formula 2, Nick De Vries wins the Yokohama Grand Prix. Nicholas Latifi is winning the driver standards at the moment. Maximilian Gunther is second in the Arden. We've got Santino Ferrucci third, De Vries fourth, and Rio Haryanto fifth. Team ART winning once again. They're in F2, so if we just move on over here, what did Haas do last season? They finished 6th last season with a really impressive points haul, but for some reason this season they are really struggling. Is their car degraded this season? We can't actually click on it there, so we need to get to 2018. The Haas car, it's not too bad overall, 7th overall, and a really decent driver lineup with Grosjean, but they're really struggling this season. And Toro Rosso have, well, they only scored 1 point last season. They've already scored 6 this season. So we'll just finish off with the interview. Lando Norris had to apologise to the representative from Cape Town today after he saw during a shower of champagne spray at the podium. What are your thoughts on his behaviour? We'll just say that one. It makes, well, we got no room to move in the marketability. It's upset Frank Williams though. But we can take it, we'll easily get that back since we're qualifying, well, not qualifying above where we should do, but we are racing above and beyond expectations at the moment. Somehow, Cape Town, another brilliant result, 1st and 3rd. We've had cars on the podium for every race other than the Doha Grand Prix. I'm not sure whether we're going to be able to keep this going for too much longer, but we've got new engines and new gearboxes going into the car for the next race. So hopefully we're going to be able to get this engine reliable enough, although there's quite a long time before Vancouver, so we're easily going to have time to get this one reliable enough. So we're going to have brand spanking new engines, brand new gearboxes in the car, so hopefully we're going to see some improvements in the car. Vancouver though, the gearbox is pretty crucial as well, and the engine is pretty crucial for our home Grand Prix in Guildford, the British Grand Prix, so it should be pretty powerful there again. So if we can just keep this going now with this 4th best overall rated car, I don't know how far we are behind the leaders. But anyway, that is it for this episode. Like, comment, subscribe, all the usual stuff. But until next time, I will see you down the road in Canada for the Vancouver Grand Prix, and goodbye.